Hello, welcome to another program of the Veterans Helping Veterans TV series. My name is Cheryl Schaefer. Back in March, I was part of the San Francisco Veterans Tech Hackathon at the Adobe building, and that's where I met one of my guests. I'd like to introduce Manjula Jonah Lagata, who is a senior developer for applications, and also I'd like to introduce Anthony Garcia, who's the CEO of Adjacent Applications. And we're going to talk about their app called Dibs in just a few moments. But first, Anthony, can you tell me a little bit about your military background?
Yeah, sure, I can. I went into the military in 1999, did ROTC, was commissioned a second lieutenant through the Medical Service Corps, and immediately after that I got picked up for flight school, where I went to Fort Rucker, Alabama, and learned how to fly dust-off medevac helicopters, UH-60, and that began a 8-year career. I got to spend a little time in South Korea, at Fort Lewis, Washington, finished my career up at Fort Sam Houston, where I was an instructor of officers, but I also spent a couple of years in Iraq. I did 2 one-year tours where I was a medical evacuation flight platoon leader, and I was fortunate enough to command and lead 100 amazing men and women, combination of flight engineers, pilots, and medical medics. Yeah.
Well, that must have been a very stressful job.
Yeah, it was extremely stressful. You know, we're essentially kind of glorified firefighters, if you will. So we could be sitting around at 3 in the afternoon or get woken up at 3 in the morning, and through a radio call we're told to pick up some patients. You don't know how many patients. You don't know if you're going to be being fired upon. You don't know the location, and that's what we did day after day for approximately 24 months.
That takes a toll on you. How did that affect you personally?
So it's interesting because I didn't realize that it actually affected me until about a year or 2 years after my last deployment. So I finished up as an instructor at the Officer Basic Course in San Antonio, Texas, where I was instructing other medical administrative professionals and doctors, nurses, individuals who'd be flying helicopters, such as myself. And it started to hit me about a year after coming back from Iraq and just being around in that physical environment of training and knowing that these men and women were going to be in the same situation that I was. And following my departure from the military in 2007, I went to go get my MBA at Cornell, and then that's when it really hit me. Because I left the military after 8 years, sitting in this classroom, listening to this professor talk about finance and economics and strategy and whatnot, and I'm just completely zoning off, thinking about my experiences in Iraq. And during that first year at business school, one of my medics was killed in action. One of the best medics I ever served with, and that hit me hard. A combination with knowing that the guys and girls that I served with were in Afghanistan, and a combination of the experiences that I had, combined with trying to figure out what my new identity would be after being Captain Garcia for 8 years, or for at least the last 4, really put me in a bad situation.
It was really hard for you to adjust from your military career to a civilian.
Oh, it was almost, I thought it was impossible. I thought it was impossible. I got out not knowing what I was going to do, believing that business school would give me some direction, but that actually didn't help either. It was a combination of talking to some good psychologists, realizing that I needed to take some medication, and I would say after about 5 to 8 months of doing that, everything started to come together for me. I realized that it was time to start a new life. My military experience did not define who I was. It was a part of who I was, and an experience that I'm so grateful for that I wouldn't trade for anything. But I started to realize that there's life after the military, and you know, I was fortunate. I got the treatment. I had great family and friends who helped get me through that experience.
So now part of your treatment, I'm assuming, is getting enrolled for the Department of Veterans Affairs, and I know that you're also service-connected disabled. So that part of why I was really interested in doing your story is the fact that you were so open about your experience in the military, and really, I'm sure you would like to encourage any other veteran that's going through similar.
In fact, you know, I have a lot of, you know, military buddies who are making the transition right now, and I talked to one of my former lieutenants who's now in the National Guard making the transition, and I was telling him, hey, these are the things you have to do prior to getting out, and then you're going to have to do these things after. You need to enroll in the Department of the VA, and you need to tell them what's wrong with you, because it's not going to hit you until a couple years later, or maybe 10 years later.
That's true.
And he really, fortunately, he really took what I had to say to heart, and you know, he's telling his friends, and I think it's, I mean, this program that you do is amazing, because I think it's giving military service members the opportunity to tell their story, so that other people out there know that there's nothing wrong with them, that this is quite normal, the challenges.
That's a great point, because it's PTSD is a normal reaction to an abnormal situation. So how do you cope with that? How do you deal with that? Thank you for having the courage to tell us your story, and to hopefully encourage other veterans really to seek treatment. The VA, there's a lot of negative stuff about the VA, but in actuality, it really does help a lot of veterans. We cannot say this enough. Get the help you need. Don't devastate your families. Don't go through stuff you don't have to go through. When agencies and groups and nonprofit organizations and veteran service organizations are out there and they want to help you,
and they're great too. What I think our society knew of the past is almost completely different now. So, you know, go to the Department of Veterans Affairs and seek treatment. They're going to help, and they'll make your life better, or at least push you in that direction.
Well, let's go back to when you were at Cornell and you graduated and got your MBA, because I know you were involved in a couple of startups. So let's talk about how you came up with this great app called
Dibs.
So Manjula, can you tell us what that is?
What Call Dibs does is, it's a mobile app. It's available on iPhone right now, but it will be available in other mobile phones a little later.
Like Android and...
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
BlackBerry and other stuff. So what this app does is, it enables veterans to exchange their goods. Say for example, I'm stationed, say I am a veteran, or I'm on active duty, or doing something else related to military. If I am in Monterey area and I'm moving to, say, San Antonio, so I'm interested in getting rid of some of my stuff, and I'm interested in buying some stuff in San Antonio. So what I can do is I can post them on Call Dibs, and I have the other military folks call dibs on it, and they can choose what they want to buy, and there is a nice coordination system built into it, as in you can exchange messages within the app itself.
Now let's make sure we know that the audience knows that Call Dibs is a free app.
Yes, it is a free app.
Okay.
And it is a free app, and it is free to use even for others, as in we do not take any cut of the transaction.
Yeah, no cut of the transaction. So if you think of it, you know, and Manjula's spot on, you think of it as a military type Craigslist, but with the trust, knowing that you're dealing with somebody who's been through the same situations that you have been, Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guards, spouses of those individuals, and veterans. And it just gives you peace of mind that hey, I'm exchanging with somebody that I don't know, but I have a common, there's a lot of
You have a commonality.
values and principles.
Exactly.
And so that allows the transaction to happen more freely and more comfortable. And just as Manjula said, the application is free. You can download it on the iTunes store, and it will be available on other platforms very shortly. And the way it's going to evolve is it's going to be very social for military service members to interact, which is something that it's been way overdue for the people that serve this nation.
Well, that's really great because it's a relatively new application. You just released it June 1st, and you released it in Monterey.
Correct. So we released it in Monterey, California, the home of the Defense Language Institute and the Naval Postgraduate School. And we have a team of 5 military spouses from all different branches, and they've been getting the word out. Within the first 2 weeks, we had approximately 400 downloads. We have 350 registered users. Over 250 items have been posted, and 60 transactions. And what's most amazing is Manjula was discussing the messaging system that happens within the application. We have over 1,300 messages that have gone back and forth within the app, which shows that people are communicating, and they're private messages. Nobody can see what other people are talking about when it comes to exchanging a good.
That's awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
Yeah, in fact, I have used Call Dibs to make one of the transactions. So as an employee of Call Dibs, I do get privileged to use the app, and it is extremely easy to use, and it's very, very useful, especially with remote browsing, and you can be in Monterey and still will be able to look for stuff in San Antonio or some other place.
So you're going to be going to Texas pretty soon, right?
Yeah. So we're going to be in Texas on the 28th of June, and we're going to be doing a launch at one of the military housing communities off post at Fort Bliss, in the Fort Bliss location. So we're going to be doing somewhat of a launch in Texas, and then we're going to nurture that environment and eventually start doing similar launches in different military locations. Of course, people can download and post items at their discretion now. Doesn't matter if we're having a launch at any location, just go ahead and start using it. And just like Manjula was saying, I think the great thing about it is if I'm PCSing from Fort Lewis to South Korea or Germany, you can call Dibs with people prior to showing up and pick up that washer and dryer that you need when you're in Germany that takes a different power source than what you would in the United States.
Very good.
And we also have people selling cars on our app. So
yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have plans for future apps?
Yes, we do. In fact, we're going to start creating another mobile app that is designed specifically for active duty service members and veterans. And that's all I can say right now because of the competition and how heated it is in Silicon Valley and throughout the United States. But we believe, our organization, that this application will definitely change the way that people interact socially, which will help to combat PTSD, put employers in touch with veterans, and just offer an array of opportunities and nice little specialties for the military.
That's great. That's great. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and Manjula, she's one of our senior iOS developers, iPhone developers, and I can't talk great enough about her. She's just really doing great stuff for adjacent applications and Call Dibs. So
that's very good. Very good. I really want to put a plug here for the tech hackathon that kind of brought us all together, because that really was an awesome event to be part of. I'm networking with quite a few of our teammates there. It's great to be part of that, and it's my understanding they're going to be doing another one of those pretty soon. So, we don't know where it's going to lead, but it's going to lead somewhere. And really what we're trying to do is really find unique and different, interesting ways to reach out to the veteran community. You've certainly done that with your application.
Hey, could I make a quick plug for
Sure.
the hackathon as well? So for those of you out there who have ideas, who are veterans or active duty, just because you don't know how to code or develop doesn't mean that you can't enter this industry. I'm not an engineer. I have a business background. Came up with an idea and met with the people that can turn that idea into a technical reality, and so that's what the hackathon will do. They pair engineers up with veterans. They come together with their ideas, and then they develop them.
And from what I understand, that they're actually starting to do this on a national basis.
Correct.
We were very fortunate to meet at the very first one.
Yeah.
So that was really an awesome experience for me personally, because it's interesting. 3-4 months down the road, I'm still in touch with some of my teammates, and we are in the process of collaboration and figuring out how do we make it better for our veterans. I'm going to put a plug in here for San Francisco and the War Memorial Building and the Veterans Success Center that is located at 401 Van Ness. It's really important for people to know that this facility does exist for veterans to come in and get training in a variety of career fields. This show is sponsored by AMVETS California Service Foundation, and part of what they have done is we have in place over there the AMVETS career training that's available for veterans. So if any veterans are in the Bay Area and they're interested in going over there, please check out the Veterans Success Center on Facebook. Do you have anything else you'd like to say about what's going on?
Just tune in for the next episode of Veterans Helping Veterans. I really believe this is something great for our service members.
So Anthony, I'm going to go back because we have a few more minutes here. I'm going to go back and really talk a little bit more about your military experience.
Okay.
And really what that was like for you.
It was probably the greatest experience that I ever had.
How come you didn't make it a career?
I didn't make it a career primarily because I think I hit a sweet spot where I did 2 deployments, came back and was an instructor, and was able to spend time with my parents and sister who live in San Antonio. And I was able to see the stress that the military career put on them. And you know, at that point, I made the decision that this is probably the best time for me to depart the military. And it worked out. So
great. And now we head to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for the 2012 edition of the Armed Forces Military Day, which was held on May 12th and 13th. The 128th Air Refueling Wing of the Wisconsin Air National Guard hosted this event at General Mitchell Field in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Our reporter, Dave Ryba, has the story.
The 128th Air Refueling Wing, Wisconsin Air National Guard, has been serving the state of Wisconsin and the United States of America since 1947. From natural disasters to service in the Korean War, Desert Storm, Restore Hope, and Deny Fly, the men and women of the 128th Air Refueling Wing has responded to changing world events and tasking requirements with dignity, honor, and courage. We went to the 128th Air Refueling Wing to have a look at the 2012 edition of the Armed Forces Military Display put on by the wing. We began our tour at the 128's KC-135 tanker display.
The mission of the 128th Air Refueling Wing would be to provide either fuel, transferable fuel to aircraft, ferrying missions, perhaps taking fighters overseas to different duty assignments and or carrying cargo, medical evacuations, pretty much provide support at around 31,000 gallons or 202 or 203,000 pounds of fuel. It has both built-in tanks, which are integral, and it has a bladder-style tank, which is no different than a giant rubber bladder, basically. The rest of the tanks are built into the structure of the aircraft, and where this plane would its civilian counterpart have baggage. With our standard configuration, we could just do, well, one at a given time. We could have potentially a group of 4, 5, 6 fighters behind us that can rotate through and get fuel, but at a given time, just one, unless it's in a MIPPERS configuration. And then we have actually 2 wingtip pods that go on each wingtip that can deploy a 50-foot hose to refuel Navy aircraft specifically is what accepts that type of refueling system.
The KC-10 Extender is an Air Mobility Command advanced tanker and cargo aircraft designed to provide increased global mobility for the U.S. Armed Forces. Although the KC-10's primary mission is aerial refueling, it can combine the task of a tanker and cargo aircraft by refueling fighters and simultaneously carrying the fighter support personnel and equipment on overseas.
This is the KC-10 behind me. It's a aerial refueling platform. Is our main mission. We also carry cargo and passengers. We can put some palletized seating on there and carry up to 75 passengers, as well as our fuel load and cargo.
It's actually KC-10. We have over here we have the throttles for the engines. Here we have the inertial navigation. True airspeed obviously is one of them comes in from the PDOT heat, from the PDOT tubes given off by the jet, and one with the jet's dials.
The C-130 Hercules primarily performs the tactical portion of the airlift mission. The aircraft is capable of operating from rough dirt strips and is prime transport for airdropping troops and equipment into hostile areas. The C-130 operates throughout the United States Air Force, serving the Air Mobility Command, Air Force Special Operations Command, Air Combat Command, U.S. Air Forces in Europe, Pacific Air Forces, Air National Guard, and the Air Force Reserve Command, fulfilling a wide range of operational missions in both peace and war situations.
Currently, this is a 91 model, built in 1991. This aircraft has been in production since the late 40s, early 50s, all the way up to even today. This is the C-130H. We can carry up to 6 pallets, 6 463L pallets in the back of the aircraft. We can drop 16 CDS bundles. We can airdrop also up to 42,000 pounds of one single heavy equipment. We can drop 64 paratroopers, haul 92 ground troops, and haul roughly about 70 litter patients, ambulatory litter patients.
The T-38 Talon is a twin-engine, high-altitude, supersonic jet trainer used in a variety of roles because of its design, economy of operations, ease of maintenance, high performance, and exceptional safety record. Air Education and Training Command is the primary user of the T-38 for Joint Specialized Undergraduate Pilot Training. Air Combat Command, Air Force Material Command, and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration also use the T-38A in various roles.
The T-38 Talon, it's the Air Force's primary jet trainer. It's used in undergraduate pilot training to train new pilots coming through that are learning how to fly. They'll pick up this airplane halfway through the course. They'll fly T-30. Used to be T-37s, this is now T-6s for half the time, and then they'll move into a heavy, high-speed jet. As a primary trainer, what we'll do is we'll train pilot proficiency. We'll train basically contact, which is what we call aerobatics, formation flying, low-level flying, and then basic instrument flying. And we'll teach all that in this airplane. There's another model. This is an A model. A lot of the models out there that are in the pilot training right now are C models, which have an engine upgrade and an avionics upgrade as well. The ones we fly here for proficiency, we fly these at a little bit different capacity. We fly these as a program on the side to help keep us.
Right. This is a 1943 SNJ-5. A lot of people know this plane as a T-6, a AT-6 plane, but the Navy called them SNJ-5s. They were used for training of all different purposes in the Navy. This one is outfitted for being trained for gunnery training in the rear seat. So we have a 30 caliber ground mounting a machine gun in the back. It's an ANM2, which is outfitted just for aviation use. The operator, training in the back would sit in the rear position, flip the seat around, get the gun out of the stowed position, and actually be able to train on his gun use while the instructor pilot sat in the front. And needless to say, there's a few tails that got a few bullet holes through the ears. It is a 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney. They called it the Wasp. It's a 1340, the R1340 engine. This was the workhorse of many, many airplanes. It's an excellent engine, 9 cylinders, putting out the 600 horsepower, takeoff horsepower. Burns a steady 30 gallons an hour in cruise, but at takeoff power, it burns 60 gallons an hour.
Well, folks, that's just about all the time we have for this report. For more information about this wonderful event, please check the website listed at the bottom of your screen. This is Dave Ryba reporting for Veterans Helping Veterans in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Cheryl, back to you on the West Coast.
And thank you, Dave, for that wonderful report from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I would also like to say thank you, David, for encouraging me to take that 1080p HD camera out and learn to use it myself. That has enabled me to do on-location interviews virtually anywhere. David, thank you for Veterans Media Services in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I'd like to thank my guest, Manjula. Anthony, thank you very much for being guests on the Veterans Helping Veterans TV show. And we'd like to encourage all veterans out there, if you are not a member of a veterans service organization like AMVETS, American Legion, Disabled American Veterans, Veterans of Foreign Wars, we would like to encourage you to join any of these groups. All these groups exist to find a way to help veterans. They also enact legislation on behalf of veterans. Join a group. Make a difference in your life. Thank you so much.